Hello aspirants, I welcome you to the Mains Master Program, and within the Mains Master Program this is our trend analysis session for the modern history. So basically we have done a trend analysis for the society as well as for the polity section. Now the Mains Master Program, just to give you an overview, focuses on the meticulous planning for next 50 days so that you prepare holistic GS paper in a very structured way. We'll give you very structured answers and very structured guidance as well. Okay, then for more information you can contact our Telegram channel or the contact number provided. Right, so we start with the modern history. So one of the problem with the modern history what we face is, because it is very difficult to prepare modern history after the prelims examination has taken place, right? Because also it is mentioned in a prelims syllabus. That is why it is important to have a very integrated strategy for the modern history. Now if you think that you can prepare for modern history after or for you can prepare before prelims according to the prelims syllabus, and you prepare modern history after your prelims, then it is very difficult task. Why? Because after prelims to the mains you have hardly 90 to 100 or 110 days. In those days you have a lot of things to focus upon. You have your own optional which you may have left out for 3 to 4 months before prelims. Then you have your ethics paper, you have your essay paper, right? Then some answer writing you will be practicing. But if you think that you can give 5 to 6 days to modern history alone to prepare its mains part, it is really difficult. So it is very important to get a very integrated preparation. You have to prepare in a very integrated way, right? More importantly, we'll see about the marks as well, that the marks also, for example, here the marks, if you see, there have been consistent 40, then there are some abnormalities there in 2017 2018, then again go back to 50. And I believe for the coming 2 to 3 years this may be the pattern. Around 40 to 50 mark questions will be there from the modern history, whether it be 10 marks 2 question or will be 15 marker 2 question, right? This year 2019 they have asked 2 questions from 10 marks and 2 questions from 15 marks, so it was 50 marks, right? They can reduce one of them, so it can be 35 or it can be 40 mark, but it will be around that only. So you can see only 3 to 4 questions are being asked of worth 50 marks, and also you prepared all these in the prelims. So it is very important you to integrate your prelims preparation with the mains, especially in the modern history, geography. These are the and culture. These are 2 to 3 things where have to integrate your preparation, otherwise you will lose out on your optional or your ethics. So starting with the syllabus, so what will be our focus in the session? So I'll try to highlight in the trend analysis, I'll highlight some of the key patterns that we can see. I will talk about some patterns that we can see throughout the paper, right? I have divided first of all the questions into 4 categories. Then we will see some of the patterns, and then I'll give you a focus list, or you can say that low hanging fruits. So while still you have time for your prelims, you can prepare that list. While preparing for revising for prelims, you can make a 1-pager notes of those notes and you can revise it. And in the meantime also, within it will take just hardly 1 day to prepare that thing. Okay, right? So what in the syllabus mentioned in the GS1, so modern Indian history about the middle of the 18th century until the present, significant events we all read in our prelims. Personality sometimes we miss out, personalities and issues. Then Indian freedom struggle, various stages and important contribution and contributor from different parts of the country. Okay, right? So if I divide syllabus, I have restructured the syllabus into 4 parts. First part, events from 1750s to 1857, then freedom struggle till independence, then personality centric questions, and then finally British policy. Some of the sessions of the personality we have already covered, but it is from the prelims perspective. But however, you can use those content if you go on our YouTube channel on the impetus series. You can see many of the sessions are there. I have covered around 10 to 12 personalities and intend to cover more. So you can make use of those notes, and that can also be very significant in the prelims, because as we forward in this particular session we'll realize that many questions are being asked on the personality centric questions. Okay, right? So for example, first we'll see year wise. So 2019, so I'll try to just highlight the patterns. So questions from 1857 uprising was there, right? So they were asked, very analytical question was there. So they asked you that how the uprisings before 1857 have culminated into the 1857. So they do not ask you to define or signify each and every event, because there have been many uprisings, civil uprising, military uprisings, tribal uprisings, but they want to find out the what are the factors that finally led to 1857 revolt, right? So some of the analytical part is required. Then Indian Renaissance, that means socio-cultural reform. They've linked with the idea of national identity. Very easily can be solved from your prelims book, what you read. Then Gandhian phase. So many voices in the Gandhian phase. You'll see the Gandhi has been predominantly featured in our modern history questions. Okay. Then 1940s, they talk about how the British imperial power complicated the transfer of power. So focusing on the last decade of the independence, before independence. Then again, 2018 only one question was asked on the ideas of Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. Then 2017 they have focused on, for example, rural economy. So tradition, artisan industry in colonial India crippled rural economy. Then you can see specific question with respect to one decade, that is 1920s. So they want you to ask the significance. They are asking in essence the significance of the 1920. Then the women question, the question around the women is a topic in your society, but it's very important. In fact, you will see many of the questions with respect to the women in the freedom struggle. Three questions in fact. Then very easy question of moderates failed to carry the conviction. Then how mid 18th century, very factual question. You have to showcase through that Marathas, Mysore, Sikh Empire, how these were there, and how British consolidated their power as well. Okay. Then some of the things, 1857 revolt again. Then they asked that how 1857 revolt was an watershed. So what were the policies before that and what were the policies after that? Okay. Then again, as I told you, discuss the role of the women. Then personality centric question, you can see Mahatma Gandhi versus the Subhash Chandra Bose. So difference in thoughts. Then again, Mahatma Gandhi, would the different, when an analytical question they have asked, how different would have been the achievement of Indian independence without Mahatma Gandhi? So they want you to showcase the significance of the Gandhi in the Indian independence movement. Then again, comparison of the Gandhi and Ambedkar, personality centric question. Okay. Then one question on the constitutional development, how Government of India Act 1935 has been instrumental to Constitution Assembly, how they were used. So constitution development is a very important part. Now in the prelims you already prepare all this, and this figures in two ways in our preparation. First in the modern history, and second in the constitutional development. In fact, this is also being the part of our GS1 plus GS2. So you can see very easy things to capture. So when you make notes of your prelim itself, try to make 2 to 3 points with respect to main. Okay, what was Government of India Act 1919? So what are the pros and cons? What are the comments of few of the nationalists on this 19? Apart from preparation of various facts and various things which you prepare for prelims, right? Because it will give you, it's a very low hanging fruit. It will give you advantage in your prelims examination. It will give advantage in your main examination in both GS1 and GS2, isn't it? So it's a very easy task that you can think. Then a question on various facets of the economic policy of the British. Then in 1940s, another question has been asked from the decade of 1940s, the naval mutiny. In fact, naval mutiny is very significant event. Naval mutiny, INA agitations, these are really important topics. In fact, this is, I have kept one of the low hanging fruits or the focus area where you should focus, because naval mutiny, first mutiny took place in 1857. After the period of around 90 years, in 1946, 18 February 1946, finally second mutiny in the ranks of the army or the armed forces took place. So that's why it is a very significant event. And after the mutiny took place, the British finally realized that now no more we can stick to India. Okay. Then a very analytical question they have asked with respect to the Battle of Panipat. It was, you can say, a more of a geographical question, or some people categorize that is more in a location factor also. Okay. Right. Then in 2013, the first one, you can see all the questions were personality centric. And that is why it is very important to prepare the personalities in the modern history. In fact, in the categorization, I found that in data analysis, you will find that around 40% or 35% to 40% questions have been from the personality centric. So for example, 2013 there was a very factual question, Lord Dalhousie. Then several foreigners had made India their homeland, participated in the various movements. So personality means the group of personalities as well. For example, women as a group or as a class, you can say. Then defying the barrier of age, gender, and religion, Indian women again torch bearer. So you can see question on women again repeated, right? So question of women repeated within the period of 7 years. Then Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, they want you to find his contribution in the pre and the post independence. So you can categorize this question in the post independence. We'll also include this question in the post independence as well. Post independence India, when we'll do the trend analysis. So you can see the significance of the certain individuals as well. Okay. Hence, we can find the certain trends. Now I have also categorized the question with respect to the each and every category which I have divided into. For example, events from 1750s to 1857. So 1857 uprising, 2019 question. Then again, how the fragmented polity of the mid 18th century was there when the British were making their inroads into India. Then Battle of Panipat. Then freedom struggle questions. We have Indian Renaissance, then many voices gathered during the Gandhian phase, then British imperial power in complicating the process of transfer, moderates, new objective in 1920s, what new objectives were added to the freedom struggle. Then you have many questions on this, right? 8 questions on the freedom struggle since independence, right? Constituent Assembly, Government of India Act 1935, naval mutiny. Then this one is, you can, some people categorize it as a world history question, because they ask that how the major political, social, and economic social development around the world have motivated the anti-colonial struggle in India, right? Then you have to link with some of the ideas of the world history to the modern history. However, we also read while reading, because many of the people from India, Nehru participated in the Congress of Oppressed Nationalists and all. So you have to mention those facts. Then personality centric question, you will see many questions here. Then throw light of a significant Mahatma Gandhi, we have discussed that. Role of the women. Then Subhash Chandra Bose versus Mahatma Gandhi. Then achievement of Mahatma, what would have been the fate of the Indian national movement without Mahatma Gandhi. Then Mahatma Gandhi versus B.R. Ambedkar. Then Subhash Chandra Bose versus Mahatma Gandhi. Okay. Then Lord Dalhousie, this the 2013 whole question we have discussed. So all the 4 questions have been from personality centric question. So we have around 10 questions from the personality centric in the last 7 years. That goes to show the importance why we need to read personality. In fact, in the prelims, if you have seen our impetus session, personalities in India series, we have also focused that how personality have been one of the focus of the UPSC area, UPSC questions. And we have tried to deal with the personality and the related questions in the prelims specifically, not with respect to the main exam. However, reading personality, their development, what are their contribution, it is a very important. Because in your books you read spectrum and all, there very specifically one personality's contributions are not given. Book is more or less written in a form of the political events or in the form of the British policies, but personality centric topics are missing, and that is where the gap is there, and this is what UPSC want you to bridge from your own side. Then questions on the British policies have also been there. So examine critically various facets of the economic policy, how the economy, you can see, focus on the economic policies of the British have been there. Okay. Women question arose, social reform movements. Okay then. So with this, this is the final trend analysis. Now, as the trend analysis goes, what is important for us in the coming exam, right? So we have analyzed the things both from the perspective of the years and both with respect to the topics. Few of the things that have stand out I'll focus next. But what should be your source? So one source, as you read your spectrum, right? I believe majority of the students read spectrum or any other Bipin Chandra you read. So there also try to make notes, whatever the focus area I'll say. Do your prelims preparation as you are doing. We are not discussing here your prelims preparation, but I'm trying to say how you integrate your prelims preparation with your mains preparation, main exam preparation. Okay. One of the good source for the personality I'll consider, especially the British personality, is the Tamil Nadu Board 12th book. It's very crisp written. Many of the aspirants know the significance of this book. It's a really, really good book. You can see Britishers like Warren Hastings, Lord Cornwallis, Wellesley, Lord Hastings, William Bentinck, Lord Dalhousie. All these are very meticulously they have defined. So you can make one page note of these personality, and that is more than enough, right? So for example, Lord Dalhousie question came, it can be straightforward can be asked from that. And it is not they are not important for prelims, they are as important for prelims as they are for main. So integrate your preparation in such a way so that you don't have to do a lot of things after prelims. Everything is prepared before prelims, you just have to revise and do some answer writing post prelims, right? In fact, majority of the students consider modern history as an strong suit while dealing with the GS1. Why? Because they have put a lot of focus and lot of efforts while preparing for the prelims. And this is why I want you to do some value addition while preparing your prelims preparation itself. Now this is the final list which I have prepared using those trend analysis. So this is, in my belief, this should be your focus areas, or you can say low hanging fruits. This is where you can focus, you can make notes, and you can make topic wise notes as well. For example, starting British personalities. So we have discussed majority of the governor generals. Governor generals before 1857 are relatively more important. After 1857, some of them such as Lord Lytton, right, Lord Ripon, these are few important ones. Okay, or at the end, Lord Mountbatten can also be asked, because they can link the idea of Lord Mountbatten to the Lord Mountbatten from pre to post independence. Okay, because he has some role in the post independence, he has some roles in the your consolidation of the Indian states as well. Okay, so there that becomes important, because that integrates both pre and post. So please prepare Lord Mountbatten. So some of the specific British personality you should create. But personality means basically those governor generals and viceroys. Then Gandhi becomes really famous. His comparison with other personality, for example, Subhash Chandra Bose has already been asked. B.R. Ambedkar is already being asked. So you can prepare with his comparison with respect to Tagore, his comparison with respect to Nehru. Okay, so these are the few personalities you can prepare his difference of opinion. I think that would be too extreme, but his difference of opinion with Savarkar can also be asked. Okay, so these are important. Specifically, now other personalities such as B.R. Ambedkar himself, the question can be asked. So comparison of B.R. Ambedkar, the contribution of B.R. Ambedkar post pre and post prelim, post independence. Okay, for example, he had contributed in a huge way also the water department. Now many of us only consider his pre-independence his contribution to the Dalit movement, and post-independence his contribution to the constitution. However, he was also a champion for the Hindu code bill, right? He also contributed a lot to the water development. He was a law minister. So these are the facts you should know by pre and post independence. For example, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, on that line I'm saying, right? Uh, few more personalities, those are famous. For example, Tilak and Gokhale, they can ask you to compare. So prepare a list of major personalities, 5 to 10 personalities, and prepare use them. You can use those example while giving the other examples as well. For example, use Gokhale or Tilak, you read. When writing about moderates, use Gokhale's example. So you have some sort of case study also. You can put some extra facts in that will make your answer different from the others, right? Second point is constitution development, also important in GS2, as I told you. So constituent development, right from 1773 Regulating Act to the final one, Indian Independence Act. So you prepare, I believe you prepare a comprehensive list of all this, because it is very important for prelims. So try to integrate both the sources of modern history and the GS2 Constitution of India, Constitution, whatever book you read for polity, right? And try to use 1 to 2.3 points, pros, cons of everything. For example, cabinet mission, pros of it, cons of it, right? What are the nationalists' response of it? Why it has come? What are the different provisions? And what was the final response of the nationalist? Because that is relevant for both your GS2 also and GS1 also. Because in GS2, one topic is given historical underpinnings. Then third, 1940s phase, I believe, is very important. For example, they have already asked question on the your naval mutiny. So they can ask you question on the INA agitation. They can ask you question on the winters of 1945-46. So there they want you to analyze both Winters of 1945-46, they want you to analyze both INA agitations and the mutiny, and some of the agitations that have taken place in the other parts of the countries as well. Then British policies which are there. British policy, whether they're economic, educational, or civil services. Now, economic, you have seen few questions. On education, there has not been any questions, so please prepare for that. British policy towards the princely states is also very important. Okay, so British policy towards the princely states, a very factual information is there. Four or five fold policy changes are there, so prepare according to that. Okay, then collect examples from the personality from different arenas. Personality centric means that, for example, some of the teachers, some of the literature people, how they have contributed, particular communities, how they have contributed, particular region people, how they have contributed. For example, people from Bengal, people from Punjab. So make a list of it. For example, they can ask you the contribution of the Parsi community as well. If they can ask you women, they can ask you Parsi community, right? Muslims is a bit controversial. They can ask you Parsi, or they can ask you any particular specific community. For example, what are the literary people have contributed? So there you have to give example of Bankim Chand Chatterjee and all, right? You have to give example of many of the nationalists, how they played a role, with their books and with their journals. They can ask you class wise as well. They can ask you the contribution of the capitalist. This is the question, very common question in test series. The contribution of the capitalist, the workers movement, the laborers, the peasant movement, right? So please prepare one page paragraph, one page notes for each class. Okay, and also make focus on the people. If you have prepared this, for example, here personalities, some of the personalities. For example, you prepared Gokhale, you prepared Tilak and all. Then you know of the many of the personalities from the Maharashtra or from Bengal, like that. Then make self notes on the significance of some decades. For example, they have already asked you the significance of the 1920s. They can ask you the significance of the 1930s. They can ask you the question on 1940s. They can ask you the significance of 1900, first decade of the 1900. So there you have to talk about Swadeshi movement. They have to talk about partition of where the policy divide and rule has come directly into the territorially divided Indians, biggest state of India, right? So you have to focus on the decade wise also. There you have to segregate all the events, and that is called an analytical question, where you have to think about the things. Okay, so with respect to decades, I'll tell you from 1890s, so 20th century's last decade to 1940s. Only 6 decades are there. Prepare according to that. Okay, these decades are most happening, and that will really help you to set a also gather some thoughts around, because you will have to integrate all the events, right from revolutionary to the moderates to the different arenas in the literary world as well. So it gives a scope of a very good answer. So if you have prepared some already prepared notes, you don't have to think a lot while preparing in the examination. Then finally, social reform movements. So this is you prepare in the prelims examination. So strength and the weakness, very well mentioned in your spectrum book. So prepare that. It's very important. For example, the question has been asked Indian Renaissance, and the question has been Indian Renaissance and the national identity. So that can be easily solved from that. Getting my point? And also some of the case studies, for example, Arya Samaj, Brahmo Samaj and all this. So some of the case studies you can use. So that's what I'm trying to say, that integrate your prelims preparation, and these are the few focus areas where you can make notes now. It will be more than 20-25 page notes, but this will be enough. Out of the 4 questions, at least 3 questions I believe that can be solved from this type of notes only. Okay, rest. And obviously, if you are well prepared before prelims, it gives you more time in the mains for preparing for the other subjects. So that's what I'll say with respect to your modern history preparation. With respect to modern history preparation, my suggestion will be based upon the trend analysis, based upon the objective facts, based upon the patterns that we have found, that focus on these focus areas. Don't try to prepare notes after your prelims. Otherwise, that can be very disastrous for you. Whatever you want to do it before prelims or along with your prelims preparation. And this is how you can crack the code for the modern history. Okay, then, because as compared to the polity, you have seen the significance of the polity has been increasing since 2016. The significance of the modern history is fine. It's not too much. 40-50 marks itself. Apart from that, you have to prepare for post independence history, isn't it? Because that is not in your prelims syllabus. You have to prepare some of the things of modern world history. So where you will find time to prepare for those if you are still preparing modern history, isn't it? So this is where you have to focus. This is what you should prepare. And with this, we finish this trend analysis of modern history. Very soon we'll come up with the trend analysis of the other sessions. I hope you use these trend analysis to prepare your content, prepare yourself, brace yourself for coming prelims examination, and use this time in between very strategically to prepare for your main as well, because between prelims and the mains 2020 it is gonna be very very less time. Okay then, thank you everyone. Bye bye, see you in the next class.